Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, for the purposes of debate, I'd yield the customary 30 minutes to the gentleman from Washington, Mr. Larson, the ranking member of the Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure, pending which I yield myself such time as I may consume.
Recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I'd ask unanimous consent that all members have 5 legislative days to revise and extend their remarks and include extraneous materials on the veto message on H.J. Resolution 27.
Without objection.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm proud to once again rise in support of House Joint Resolution 27, which I introduced to negate an ill-timed and ill-conceived rule coming out of the Biden administration. I remind my colleagues on both sides of the aisle that since I last spoke on the floor of this chamber in support of H.J. Resolution 27, the resolution passed both the House and the Senate with bipartisan support. While the Clean Water Act has greatly improved the health of our nation's waters in the 50 years since it's become law, this administration's rule defining a Waters of the United States, or WOTUS, is just the latest in a stream of examples of executive overreach beyond the intent of the Clean Water Act. Decades of agency interpretations and misinterpretations of WOTUS have created uncertainty, a lot of uncertainty, for rural communities, for farmers, for businesses and industries that rely on clean water. And this rule does absolutely nothing to provide clarity. In his message to the House regarding the veto of this legislation, the President claims that H.J. Resolution 27 would, quote, leave Americans without a clear definition of waters of the United States, unquote. This is simply untrue and disingenuous, especially considering it was his own administration that decided to get rid of the 2020 Navigable Waters Protection Rule, which provided long-awaited clarity on the scope of WOTUS in favor of this new overreaching and unclear definition. This issue matters to everyday Americans all over the country, and I hear about it all the time. I'm disappointed to see the President favor radical environmental activists over America's families, small businesses, farmers, builders, and property owners. That being said, I'm hopeful that the members of the House and Senate can come together to override this veto, terminating this ambiguous and burdensome rule in favor of greater economic prosperity for Americans nationwide.
Good morning, friends. I have shocking news to share with you this Sunday. Government officials are now saying that the debt default may cause a worse than expected crisis. Social Security benefits may be back on the negotiating table, and this could affect the program's funding shortfall. I will be going over how this may affect you. My friends, please do me a big favor and watch until the end of this video for all of the details. Also, this coming Friday, I will be announcing more winners for the Walmart gift card giveaway. If you would like to enter these weekly giveaways, my friends, all you have to do is click and like several of my videos and then comment below the keyword of each video that you watch. The more videos that you watch and then comment on, the greater your chances, dear friends, of winning the giveaways. For the vast majority of Social Security beneficiaries, their monthly check is vital to their financial well-being. After 20 years of annual polling, Gallup has found that no less than 80% of retirees rely on their Social Security benefit in some capacity to meet their monthly expenses. But with the U.S. debt ceiling deadline looming, more than 66 million beneficiaries are left wondering whether their Social Security checks will be on the chopping block. The debt ceiling represents the authorized borrowing limit for the federal government. But friends, it's important to keep in mind that this does not include borrowing for new spending or projects. Rather, it is to cover the federal government's existing financial obligations. At no point in America's history has the federal government defaulted on its legal financial obligations, which is why the current debt limit impasse between Democrats and Republicans on Capitol Hill is turning heads. The expectation prior to this past week was that lawmakers had perhaps 2 or 3 months more to agree on a bill that would raise or suspend the debt ceiling However, U.S. Treasury Secretary and former Federal Reserve Chairperson Janet Yellen altered that view by sending a letter to Speaker Kevin McCarthy. Janet Yellen's letter made it abundantly clear that the debt limit issues for the United States may be worse than initially feared. So in other words, if lawmakers fail to act quickly, the U.S. Treasury may not be able to meet the country's existing debt obligations come June 1st. And the big question is, does that include failing to pay Social Security benefits? Well, thanks to a law passed by Congress in 1996, Social Security checks should keep flowing, even if the U.S. government begins defaulting on its other existing financial obligations as early as June 1st. This law allows and effectively obligates Secretary Yellen to circumvent the debt ceiling by disinvesting Social Security asset reserves to cover benefits. Since Social Security's inception, the program has collected more revenue than it's paid out in benefits and other administrative expenses. This excess cash, known as Social Security's asset reserves, is required by law to be invested in interest-bearing special issue bonds and, to a lesser extent, certificates of indebtedness. As of March 31st, 2023, the Old Age and Survivors Insurance Trust Fund and Disability Insurance Trust Fund combined for $2.81 trillion in asset reserves. Based on the language of the 1996 law, Janet Yellen has the authority to draw down on this $2.81 trillion to ensure monthly benefits are paid. Some say that with the trust funds combining for about $1.23 trillion in scheduled benefits, Social Security's asset reserves could sustain payouts to eligible beneficiaries for more than 2 years if a debt ceiling deal was not reached. As he begins his campaign for re-election, President Biden faces substantial and multiple challenges. According to a Washington Post survey, his overall approval ratings have slipped into a new low, with more Americans than not questioning his age, and his support against leading Republican challengers is far shakier than at this point 4 years ago. Among fellow Democrats, most say they prefer that their party's nominee is someone other than Biden, a view that has been consistent in polls since before the midterm elections. Biden's overall job approval ratings stands at 36%. That is down from 42% in February. His disapproval stands at 56%, including 47% who disapprove strongly. Biden has presided over an economy that has included strong job growth and low unemployment, but also high inflation. While inflation has declined in recent months, Americans across party lines continue to express great concern about prices and rate the U.S. economy negatively overall. Markets remain sluggish in the face of concerns that the Federal Reserve's efforts to curb inflation will trigger a recession or additional bank failures. So Biden would be 82 years old at the beginning of a second term and 86 years old at its end. Republicans have made clear that they will raise questions about his abilities. The president himself has also said voters have every right to consider his age as they think about their 2024 choice. So, dear friends, what do you think about President Biden running for a second term? Please let me know what your thoughts are in the comments section below. Well, my magnificent and marvelous friends, that is the end of my daily stimulus update video for today. Thank you, dearest friends, for being here and for being part of this community. To say thank you and to show my appreciation, I'm doing weekly giveaways every single Friday. If you'd like to enter the Walmart gift card giveaways, all you have to do, my friends, is click and like several of my videos, and then comment below the keyword of each video that you watch. The more videos that you watch and then comment on, the greater your chances, my friends, of winning the giveaways. Thank you and have a wonderful and very blessed weekend.